Hey everybody, and welcome to Super Comic Fun Times Omnibus Report for November 12th, 2017. First, a channel update. I don't think there will be an episode of From the Pile this week because I am working on a bigger Justice League type thing in honor of Justice League coming out this week. I'm also happy to say I finally saw Wonder Woman last night. It was a great movie. I really enjoyed it. I'll try to get a review up later. And one of the reasons my output has trickled to a drip is I've been struggling with my review of Thor Ragnarok, which I've written and published on Super Comic Fun Time at blogspot.com. But I'm not entirely happy with it, and I haven't figured out how to do a video on that yet. And so I'm moving forward from that. I'm not going to say I've abandoned it, but maybe at some future date I'll do a video on a deeper look at Thor Ragnarok, other than my impressions video from the first night. Oh, that was a great time. I have to say, I was like, being a new YouTuber and doing this more regularly, I was all geared up to that. And as soon as I saw the movie, I kind of had like a depression afterwards. Everything was kind of pointing to that. And then I just, I crashed. I wanted to do more. I wanted to write the review right afterwards. I realized I didn't know how to write a review, so I looked up some YouTube videos that gave advice on writing reviews. Anyways, I'm getting outside the scope of this video, which is our omnibus report. There hasn't been much to report in the last couple of weeks, which is why there hasn't been an omnibus report. But this week, there's one I'm really excited for, and then there's a couple that are coming out too that for various reasons I'm not getting, but I would be getting under different circumstances. And we'll get into that as we go. I think I worked out a hack with my screen sharing, and that is to have Zoom already on the window I want to share, and then I can just do this, push the share. So there we go. It's surprising to me because I'm kind of like monitoring myself, and now I'm over here in the corner. And anyway, so here we go. Starting off this week, and the most exciting omnibus coming out this week for me is Spider-Man Clone Saga Volume 2. So this volume weighs in at 1,288 pages, and it's written by J.M. DeMatteis, Todd, Dezago, David Michelinie, Terry Kavanagh, with art by Mark Bagley, Darick Robertson, Angel Medina, and Dave Hoover. So this collects just a huge amount of books. Many of them are, I'm kind of wondering if I should have been getting this now, because it has Venom in it. And I'm not a big Venom fan, but on the other hand, I haven't read a lot of Venom stuff. So this volume follows about a year, a little more than a year after the first volume, which came out on October 18th of last year. And that one was 1,240 pages. And I did not start reading this one yet because I wasn't sure if there was going to be a volume 2. That's one of the reasons I decided to start this channel with a focus on omnibuses. I prefer to say how you say instead of I don't like saying Anyways, back to the review. So this is the image that I'm looking over here because I've got my volume of this on the shelf. This is, I guess I can't, I'm in preview mode. I don't like to publish I kind of like to publish the blog and the video at the same time, and then this will probably be moved down to a paragraph, and the video will be up here, and I'm explaining my inner process. Anyways, I don't know a whole lot about this. I've heard people say that it was the reason they stopped reading Spider-Man, or maybe left comics altogether, because this thing kept going on. And it's my belief now that the omnibus is the superior form of reading comic books, even if you have to wait 20 or 30 years to catch up, because a lot of things I've hear people complain about when the whole story is together in one volume. You can't see my hands, I'm doing hand gestures. Maybe that's good. But when everything is compressed into one volume, a lot of times it can make things better. Not always. There's things like Age of Apocalypse, which I mentioned here, but I don't include a picture of. Maybe I'll put that into to try to generate some views. The Age of Apocalypse, I have not finished that book yet. There's certain elements. I love the beginning of the story. There are stories with Apocalypse that take place before this, so maybe that's why they don't get into how he took over the world. It's just you're dealing with the modern day 90s as if they were run by Apocalypse. And I like a lot of the stuff that happens around Scott Summers, but then there's stuff that happens with characters I'm not as familiar with, having stopped reading comics many years before that. And that story is jarred. But and I don't mention it here, but Onslaught was really awesome. I really liked that book. Everything fit together. You just read it from the beginning to end, and it just flowed for me. And I think that's the problem with Age of Apocalypse for me, the omnibus at least, is that it doesn't flow very well. You go from one scene to another, and yeah, I don't even mind confusion. Do you know what I mean? A lot of times when I'm confused, I like it because it gets me thinking, and I try to think of how this story could be resolving itself. Anyways, let's move on. So this is Spider-Man. I wrote under here, Spider-Man faces off. That should be against his clone. That's another good reason not to publish yet. But I have no idea if he does face off against his clone. I just see this picture, and I made up that. This is Blogger or Blogspot. No, it's Blogger now, but I'm still under Blogspot. And I would like it if the captions look more like captions. I think it should be smaller text than under here, but it's what I'm working with now. The other thing I really need to pick up at some point is the original Clone Saga. I'm very excited to read that because I know that will be good because that was in the 1970s, and that's when comics were the greatest. Okay, so anyways, yes, again, it's we're looking at 1,288 pages. This compares to the previous volume, which was 1,240 pages. So they're pretty close to being the same. You're missing about 48 pages from the new one. From the old one. But I love this cover. This art is okay, but I really like this. It's kind of going on here. And yeah, you got Spider-Man, Peter Parker, Gwen. I forget his name. That's not the Green Goblin. That's what I want to say it is, but it's not. It's the guy who makes the clones. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on. The next thing coming out this week that might be of interest to a lot of people out there is the hardcover edition of Nightfall 2. Now, this one weighs in. It's by Chuck Dixon and with art by Kelly Jones and Jim Aparo. And this is 976 pages. This is nearly double the size of the paperback trade that, came out in 2012, which I have all three of those. That was, even though I really count myself getting back into comics in 2015, the Dark Knight Rises, I liked all of the Dark Knight movies so much that when I found out and I'm pointing to my bookshelf again, which you can't see, but I've got the 3 volumes of the paperback series that came out. And one of the things that was missing from that were some Shadow of the Bats where, Bruce Wayne's back gets broken and then he's out of the story. He goes overseas. He leaves, not Dick Grayson, but the Robin that came after, Tim Drake? I forget which one. I got my Robins confused. I'm not a big Robin fan. I know Dick Grayson, and I know, Damian is one now, and the whole Robin thing is kind of a huge mess. Anyways, this contains a lot of the stories that tell how Bruce Wayne healed from having a broken back, which in the paperback on my shelf, he just suddenly shows up and he's still not all the way there. And you know, you've got stories with him seeking out a martial arts expert to try to become worthy of taking on the mantle of the Bat again. And so this, you know, if money was no object, I would definitely be getting this, but money is an object. And so I've already read quite a bit of the story, and I'd like to read it again, but right now I'm so backed up on stuff that this will have to wait for a different day. Finally coming out is the Batman and Robin Omnibus by Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. This is 1,248 pages, and this collects Batman and Robin 20 through 22, the new 52 run of Batman and Robin 0 through 40, Batman and Robin Annual 1 through 3, Robin Rises Omega 1, Robin Rises Alpha 1, which I have no idea what those are. I think I vaguely remember hearing about some Alpha and Omega stuff, and a Secret Origin, a story from Secret Origin 4. And this is from the DC website because I'm not familiar with this title at all, but I'm sure there are fans of it. I understand that Damian is very popular, and this story deals with, in part, his life in the League of Assassins prior to becoming Robin. So it sounds like a very interesting story, and for me, it's another day. Okay, so here I've got my questions to engage my audience. So all of these volumes are scheduled to be released this Tuesday, November 14th. Are any of these on your wish list? Did the 1990s Clone Saga drive you out of comics? What do you think of the Batman Night Quest finally having the Bruce Wayne story? To me, that was like the biggest bummer of it. I was like so happy when I found these giant issues. You know, you have Batman and Bane. And one of the things I liked, the Doug Mensch stories had a lot of pop culture references. They had a kind of version of Rush Limbaugh in there, from what I recall. And it's been a number of years since I read this. And it had the Clintons in there. It had like all these things from the 90s. So it even though it was contemporary when it was written in the 90s, for me, it did touch some nostalgia buttons reading it again. But I really wish, it did feel incomplete. It's like, how did Batman's back heal? And I've had the Shadow of the Bat series where he apparently gets his back healed in my Comixology wish list for a while, but I haven't not got around to getting any of those issues, and I don't plan on getting any for a while because I've got so much to read right now. So anyways, comment down below, either in this YouTube video or on, here's where you would enter your comments if you were to read my blog. I have my links here to my other social media, and they'll be down below also. I'm thinking about just copying this to the text of this to the description below. I don't know if I'll do that, but let me know what your thoughts of our omnibuses. Do you think Spider-Man, the Clone Saga, would read better as an omnibus? I think I do. I made a prediction here. Let's see. My prediction is that I'll probably love it. That's how I am. Especially because, you know, I'll be able to go on and on, but, you know, informed also by my Age of Apocalypse experience, especially when we get to the Spawn stuff, Venom stuff. I don't know I know even less about Spawn. I think I saw the movie a long time ago. I've never read a Spawn comic book. I don't really have much interest in it, but that might be something I read someday. I never say never. At any rate, yeah, so that's my prediction, is that I'll probably end up loving it. And I really want to find the original Clone Saga. Right now, I think it's out of print, so that will be a thing. At any rate, it's time to bring this video to a close. So remember to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, give me a thumbs up. Comment below. Tell me what your favorite, you know, if none of these appeal to you, tell me why. Or just tell me what your favorite omnibus of all time is. And I will talk to you soon. I've got a couple of videos planned this week. Now that I think I've put the Thor Ragnarok review aside. I think what I'll do is I'll try to write a review of the Wonder Woman using the format of my Thor Ragnarok review and see if I like that any better. And then maybe eventually do it. Or maybe I'll learn some editing skills so that I can make a review of Thor Ragnarok more interesting. We will see. Anyways, I love you guys. Again, do the thumbs up. If support this channel, you can click on my affiliate link below. And I guess I need a hack for stopping the video because it does take that a little longer. So this is Douglas Ratcliffe for Super Comic Fun Time, out.